Hello and welcome to Money Matters. As the world starts opening up to travel during the pandemic, Hong Kong is keeping its borders closed and imposing some of the toughest quarantine measures in the world. Today, we're joined by Stuart Bailey, chairman of the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Association, and Tommy Wu, lead economist at Oxford Economics. But first, a look at the big picture so far. Japan, Singapore, Canada, the US, and the UK are just a few of the countries that have opened their borders to vaccinated travelers with no quarantine. In Hong Kong, quarantine in a designated hotel is required for 3 weeks from high-risk countries and 2 weeks from medium-risk countries at the expense of the traveler. And only Hong Kong residents are allowed entry. In the last few months, Eurocham, AmCham, and ASIFMA, the Asia Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, have all lobbied the government to loosen their quarantine restrictions, citing the negative impact of this for long-term planning and Hong Kong's reputation as a global business hub. Financial services account for 21% of the city's GDP, and a survey of ASIFMA's members showed that almost half its members were contemplating moving staff or functions out of Hong Kong, while 78% cited difficulty attracting and retaining talent in the city. All groups have asked for a clear COVID strategy. In response, the government doubled down, ending 31 out of 36 quarantine-exempted groups and reiterating its top priority to open its borders with the mainland first. To be fair, Hong Kong has successfully managed a zero COVID rate for several months, and both GDP and employment numbers have improved. There's also talk of opening the border with Guangdong in February, and a third booster shot has been rolled out. Good to have you here, Tommy and Stuart. Do you think that there really is a need for the government to change its policy? GDP is doing well, unemployment is getting better.
So I think now we're in the second stage, and it's yet to be seen how some of the momentum can carry forward. Demand for goods is slowing over time for, say, Chinese goods or goods that are re-exported through Hong Kong. And also in the West, there is a trend that demand is shifting away from goods towards services. So in that case, even though there is a global economic recovery, Hong Kong is going to benefit less from the global trade side than before. Now, in terms of the domestic economy, even with the boost of by the government consumption vouchers, they're doing okay, but then they're actually below forecasters' expectations.
Right. So midterm to long-term GDP, maybe not so positive.
At the end of the day, Hong Kong is an international financial and business hub. Now, it's true that the goods trade is okay. Financial flows could be, business as usual, and also because of some of the financial schemes that have been widened or new initiatives with China has been brought up recently. These would help, but people's movement is very important for doing businesses. It's easier to do business when we can get together in person.
You're right. I mean, I had a meeting with the executive director of JETRO, which is the Japanese trade office here in Hong Kong. 85% of Japanese pearls are exported through Hong Kong and then re-exported. And it's an important industry for Japan. And he showed me the figures for a usual year, and there are 4 major spikes which happen around the jewellery and gem fairs that happen in Hong Kong. He showed me the figures for 2020, and it fell off a cliff. They didn't sell any. And people, jewellery manufacturers are not going to buy pearls on the internet. It's not a virtual transaction that's ever going to work. So therefore, they are desperately looking for alternatives of how they can do business with other places in the world. Because if Hong Kong is shut, then they'll go somewhere else.
How important is international travel to the trade show industry? Are you seeing events deciding to move because they're not getting enough international visitors or exhibitors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hong Kong has long been a marketplace where the Chinese have come to meet with the internationals. That's driven the success of the exhibition and convention industry for the last 30 or more years. What we're starting to see now is, because there is no certainty of what's going to happen next, shows have to find a new market. So we've already seen shows, the jewellery show has moved to Dubai. We're already seeing that other shows are looking at Singapore because there is certainty of what's happening next.
Will you also see some companies moving jobs, certain groups of their operations out to other places and not returning?
We've seen companies moving parts of their functionalities, including jobs, relocating to other nearby cities in the region. And I think a lot of these jobs, once they moved out of Hong Kong, say to Singapore or some to, say, Shanghai or Seoul, for instance, then this loss is basically, once these are gone, then they're gone.
I mean, the events actually bring in a lot of overseas visitors who, after trade shows, I suppose, go around the area near the convention center. Have you also seen the impact on that surrounding economy?
Yeah, look, the exhibition and convention economy is worth 58.6 billion Hong Kong dollars, which is about 2.5% of Hong Kong's GDP. But more importantly than that, I think it supports a number of industries, and not just the hospitality and hotel industries, but some big important industries in Hong Kong. When you think about jewellery and watch, Hong Kong is, the hub for Asia. When you think about wine, since the removal of duty, Hong Kong is the wine hub for Asia. When you think about fine art, now all of these are supported by major trade exhibitions, and you could argue, does the industry support the event, or does the event support the industry? I think there's a bit of chicken and egg in there, but I think once the events start to leave, we'll start to see that the business leaves as well.
Right. And can that industry here in Hong Kong survive another 6 months, potentially another year of borders being closed?
These big trade shows take a long time to come together. You've got to book exhibitors. Are exhibitors going to book an event in Hong Kong for next year, given what's happening with the border situation? Because they can't be sure the buyers are coming. They can't be sure that they can get here. So obviously not. So those events will move. They'll go to other cities that we can see have a plan, that we can see are open. And the question is, will they come back? Now, I'll strike a note of optimism here, because I think I've lived in Hong Kong for more than 20 years, and I've seen it's the most resilient city that I've ever seen. It always bounces back strongly, be it from SARS, be it from bird flu, be it from financial crisis. It always performs better when it comes back than the analysts predict. So I'm hopeful that when we can get borders open, the business will return. But it's diminishing return. The longer this goes on, the less likely that becomes.
Okay. Will borders opening to China help at all? Will it make enough of an impact to actually help the industry?
We want to see how things can progress. We've done surveys of exhibitors, many of whom have indicated that actually a 7-day quarantine to come and meet with Chinese buyers in Hong Kong is something that they would accept. But when we're talking about 2, maybe 3 weeks of quarantine, it makes it untenable.
Could Hong Kong lose its standing as an international hub and place to do business, or even as an international hub to China?
On the one hand, it's true that the longer that we wait for borders to reopen, or having any concrete timetable, if we have to wait longer for that, that's certainly not good for Hong Kong's reputation, and also in terms of it's probably too late if we wait until then, because some of the companies will already relocate jobs and functionalities to other cities. On the other hand, I think Hong Kong is still a gateway in the sense that, at least compared to the major cities in mainland China, in 2 ways. One is Hong Kong still has a free flow of capital. And I think that it's extremely important for Hong Kong to conserve its role. Okay. And then the second thing is, I have to say, the rule of law, because at least on the commercial law side of things, it seems that it's still relatively more predictable and consistent for the global business community to understand. So I think Hong Kong will still have these two advantages, and so And that's why Hong Kong will still maintain the role as the gateway or international hub for China.
Right. Stuart, is it enough for events just to cater to mainland China market?
Well, if you're asking will Chinese companies come to Hong Kong to meet with the 7.5 million population that we have here, the answer to that is no, they won't. Because why should they? They come to Hong Kong to meet with the international markets. I mean, the longer that borders remain shut, it does become a bit more like a sort of a special economic zone within China rather than an international city. And I think those two are quite important distinctions. You know, Hong Kong needs to be an international hub, and in order for that to happen, it must have free movement not only of capital but of people as well. But I think that the next stage has to be a roadmap of how many vaccinations are required, at what stage can we start to reduce the quarantine, and ultimately eliminate the quarantine so that we can get back to normal. Every other sort of major market destination in the world has woken up to the fact that COVID-19 isn't going away, and so therefore we have to learn to live with it. The chief executive in Hong Kong has decided that that's not what we're going to do, but we can only sustain that so long. We do need to, at some point, have a solution.
Thank you, Stuart. Thanks, Tommy, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When Money Matters returns, opting to rent a flat in a weak sales market. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Matters. Property sales have weakened in the last 2 months due to the uncertainty of the pandemic. Buyers have reportedly opted to rent while they wait until the market finds surer footing. Rents have inched higher as a result. Alice Kahn reports that monthly leases in Central Midlevels were already pricey, but she still tried to find a large flat that provides value for money.
After searching for a home on Conduit Road this week, we continued our flat hunt in Sai Yin Pun. Sai Yin Pun is in proximity to Central and Sheung Wan. It has many shops and trendy restaurants that have attracted expats to the area.
It feels like quite a nice little town, almost like a little community. I think there's nice little places here. Everything's quite close together.
The rental market in the SAR increased 4% in the first 9 months of 2021.
The news which is about the central government, they may have some restrictions on the Hong Kong developer to further compress the housing price. That's why a lot of home buyers at that moment, they consider that the market may be further adjusted downward. So they are taking the wait and see approach. The housing demand is shifted from the transaction market to the leasing market.
The rent in Mid-Levels West could range from $70,000 to over $1 million per month. But in Sai Yin Pun, they're lower. The monthly rent here ranges from $14,000 to $130,000, depending on the flat's location and the building's age. This week, we hunted for a Sai Yin Pun bargain. Island Crest was built by Carey Properties in 2009. It offers 488 units ranging from 341 square feet to over 2,200 square feet. About 40% of the residents in the project are expats. The rent in this building dropped by 10% in the last couple of years. It went back up recently, but is still down by 3 to 5% compared to the peak of September 2019. Currently, the rent ranges from $60 to $70 per square foot. The apartment we visited is this 816 square foot unit. The previous tenant was an expat. Now the owner is asking $49,000 per month, or $60 per square foot, at the lowest end of the range. We checked out whether the flat is a good bargain. At the entrance, there is sufficient room for cabinets.
This is a lot of storage here, like shoes cabinet. You can put a lot of shoes inside. And also then you can put the like something not used and not always used, like a suitcase in the cabinet up there. Yeah. So it's a very good use of space.
Then we went into the generous 180 square foot living area.
The living area is quite square shape. How do you lay out the furniture?
It's quite easy to lay out the furniture in here. You can easily put a sofa for up to 6 to 8 people easily on this wall. And also then put a coffee table in front of the sofa, of course. And this area, you can put a dining table to up to 6 people very easy.
The view is one important factor determining the rent. The living room has a floor-to-ceiling window. Sunlight comes flooding in to brighten up the room.
It has a quite open view.
It's not only open, you can see the mountain from here. It's very unusual. You can find in the Saiyin Pun or mid-level area. Lots of buildings are very crowded. So for this unit, it's quite unusual, good view.
Then do the tenants pay a high premium for such a good view?
It's not. Right now, the landlord is asking for $49,000. The previous lease of this landlord was $48,000. Plus, there's a unit in lower floor with nice good view, which is asking for $52,000. So this is a very good bargain.
Then why does the landlord asking a lower rent or offer such a good deal?
The landlord, he realized the expat will be busy for preparing Christmas in December. So who want to lease this unit before the Christmas? So that's why he offered such a good price.
This unit also comes with a balcony, which can fit a small table and 2 chairs. Apart from the view, the interior quality and decoration are also important factors to determine the rent.
This landlord already provide very nice wallpaper in this apartment, and also you can see they provide very nice lighting as well. So not much wear and tear in this apartment.
We checked out the rest of the flat.
Okay, then Jackie, show me the room then.
Sure. This unit has 3 bedrooms, including 1 ensuite, and then 1 main room or storage room here.
There's window.
Yes. So this unit is good for the family with children or a couple who need more bedroom for guests, something like that. This is the first room. So there's the previous tenant used this room as a walk-in closet. And this is a very big wardrobe. So the previous tenant who used this room as a walk-in closet for storage clothing. And then also you can see this this part of the wardrobe. You have a bar with a very high distance, which you can hang a non-dress.
The bedroom-cum wardrobe is 50 square feet.
Can I turn it back into a bedroom?
It's possible, but difficult because this wardrobe is fixed.
Usually, the smallest bedroom would be used for other purposes because it's difficult to lay out furniture. So we expected the second bedroom to be larger, but no.
Seems this second bedroom is smaller than the other one.
Okay, if it's a children's room, you can put a single bed here, and then a desk over here to make it into a children's room.
The main bathroom is opposite the bedrooms. The size is decent, but the landlord replaced the bathtub with a shower unit. Next is the ensuite master bedroom, which is a decent size. The sleeping area is 180 square feet. It has a floor-to-ceiling window on one side and another window with a sea view on the other side.
So you can either put the bed here, put the king-size bed here, or you can put the bed on this wall here. So, but if you put the bed here, since it has another window on this side, this window can see a bit of sea view. Then you will enjoy both the mountain view and the sea view if you put the bed on this side. So if on the other side, you only can enjoy the mountain view from that side.
Storage is not a problem in the master bedroom.
Oh, there's a built-in wardrobe as well.
Since it's a very high ceiling in this unit, it's 9'7" ceiling height. So to provide extra space on the top, you can build a very big wardrobe in this room.
The kitchen isn't so big, but it's still well equipped with electric appliances. Amenities-wise, the building offers clubhouse facilities, including swimming pools, etc. It also has a supermarket. The location is very convenient, with the Sai Pun MTR station only a short 5-minute stroll away.
Also, the tenants these units will attract you.
For those tenants who who has a family, who need more room, they can use the same amount of rental. They're looking for the better quality of the building or a little bit bigger size. I do see some people from some tenants moving up from Wan Chai, Kennedy Town to upgrade the size.
Next week, we look down market at a few smaller units which have been getting bad press of late. Are they really too small for you to breathe?
We hope that the travel budget will not be cut. Actually, when the pandemic first hit, people were forced to work from home. And they all found the online meetings quite effective and quite useful. So at that time, we were actually quite worried about the future of aviation. But after a few months, people start to realize that actually working from home is not as effective as one would have thought. In fact, many people start to encounter, we call it the online fatigue. Now, of course, for us, it's good news because that means that people actually prefer to have face-to-face meetings. Also, many people actually prefer to meet the business partners before they finalize the deal. That's why we think that in the long run, we are still quite optimistic about the future of air travel.
That's the show. Thanks for watching. Next time on Money Matters, how Hong Kong companies are responding to the ongoing zero COVID policy and supply chain bottlenecks. Good night.